So I am truly honored to be asked to welcome you tonight. True confession, my art talent, I'm stick figure challenged. So the fact that I would be invited to welcome a group that includes truly talented artists is amazing. Now, when it comes to music and theater, I probably did a little bit better holding a few lead roles when I was in high school, but clearly the music and theater talent didn't pass on to my own children. I remember when they were in choir, when they were in middle school, the choir director put them in the front row because they were short, but asked them to please just mouth the words. So this is clearly not something that is a strong suit in my family. But in hearing all of you sharing the wonderful things you're doing at the intersection of science and art, it does remind me the fact that science and the arts are both truly creative disciplines at their cores. Now, all of us really fundamentally appreciate the creativity that goes into every piece of artwork and every musical score and every theater production or new novel. But sometimes we don't think about the creativity in science. We think of science as evidence-based. But stop and think for a minute. The amount of creativity that must have been going on in the mind of Einstein to come up with special relativity. The leaps of imagination that go on in the minds of scientists to put together disparate observations and create new knowledge. That is truly a matter of human creativity, just as art is. And that's why it's so important to bring artists and scientists together to share their love of human creativity. Now, how many of you understand what it is that the National Academies do? I mean, be honest here. Okay, all right. So, a little history here. The National Academy of Sciences, which is the oldest of the three academies, there's also engineering and medicine, was founded during the Civil War. So it's more than 150 years old. It is not a government organization. We're non-governmental, we're a nonprofit, and we were originally the brainchild of Abraham Lincoln, who felt that there should be an organization that is run by scientists and that is of scientists for scientists, but the purpose of this organization is to provide unbiased, evidence-based advice to the nation whenever it should need it. And so for 150 years and more, counting, we have been the group that has advised the nation whenever it needed help on things like the Spanish flu, AIDS, the Human Genome Project, the Challenger disaster, you name it. We have come up with that advice. And when it comes to the intersection of these creative endeavors, we've not only have programs like DASER, which you're all here and part of, but we also do influential reports. And these consensus reports are, in many ways, the most important documents that we put out to policymakers, to fellow scientists, to foundations, to guide investment in the future of our children, the future of the intellectual endeavor. And so one of the most important reports that we did, which was under the auspices of our Board on Higher Education and Workforce, came out in the spring of 2016. It was entitled Branches of the Same Tree, which comes from a actual quotation from, I believe, Einstein came up with that quotation, talking about how the arts and sciences were all branches of the same tree. And the report was chaired by David Skorton, Secretary of the Smithsonian. The committee examined the evidence for the impact on educational programs which would integrate learning experiences in the arts and humanities with science, engineering, and medicine. So not just require courses in those fields, but integrate the learning as a one whole. And the way I sort of think about it is that after they talked to leaders in industry, leaders in government, leaders in all sectors, what they found is they need a workforce for the 21st century that doesn't just have the technical skills, but also has the inspiration and the creativity to take those technical skills and use them to create new tools, new knowledge, new ways of furthering society. But they also have to have the connection to the human side, to know how are real people going to embrace these tools? How will they use them? How will they accept them? And so unless you connect the humanities and the arts, as well as science, engineering, and medicine, you will not get a workforce that meets the needs of the employers. And that's what that report said. In fact, I was so excited about that report when it came out that it was not more than a month or 6 weeks after, I was asked to give the commencement address at George Washington University. And I used that report to frame my commencement address because I felt it was so important for the faculty, the university leaders, and the students in that audience to understand the importance of that kind of integrated thinking in the future, because these are young people that are going to go out and make a difference in the world, and that kind of thinking was very important to them. These ideas of integration and collaboration are also at the heart of another Academies program, not just DASER, but also the National Academy's Keck Futures Initiative, which we call by its acronym, since it's such a mouthful, called NACFE. This has been connecting science, engineering, and medical disciplines for 15 years. Now, when NACFE was first put together, it was mostly science, engineering, and medicine collaborating. And someone came up with a great idea. It might have even been JD. What about bringing some artists in? What if we throw art into the mix? Do you think that would be an interesting idea? And everyone thought, yeah, let's mix it up. Let's bring some artists in. And magic happened. Magic happened. So it became then part of the NACFE formula to include people in the arts and people in the humanities. And those who have attended DASERS on a regular basis have heard about many of the projects that NACFE has fostered. 3 of the speakers tonight are recipients of NACFE Challenge grants, because after the NACFE events are over, the teams can apply for challenge grants to take these uncommon groups of people that have come together under NACFE and move forward with actual funding from NACFE to keep the teams together. Because, you know, I'm not sure if this is true in the arts, but it's certainly true in the sciences, that sometimes the glue funding to take an uncommon group of people and keep them together to work on an unusual project that doesn't fit neatly into one silo can be the toughest kind of funding to find. And that's what NACFE puts together. So these interactions between art and science are critical as they make us think differently. They cause different parts of our neurons to connect in ways that they wouldn't otherwise. And that's exactly the kinds of challenges we're facing today as a nation, as a world, as a complex society. So we have to learn how to do these collaborations. We have to develop empathy. We have to understand the work of creative practitioners in all disciplines. You'll hear a lot about this evening, the kinds of work that people are doing to solve these kinds of problems. But I just want to say, on behalf of the presidents of all three academies, engineering and medicine as well, I'm delighted to voice my support for these efforts. I want to thank you all for being here. You all are part of the solution. So enjoy this evening, and thank you all for being part of this new collaborative kind of thinking. All right, have a wonderful evening.